And this morning, Shells, what we're inside of Amplify?
Yeah, so today we're going to be amplifying the upcoming birthday celebration of the Jamaican cultural icon and ambassador, Miss Lou. And joining us via Zoom is Professor Opal Palmer Adisa, who is the Chief Executive Officer for the Louise Bennett Coverley Festival. Prof, you there? Morning.
Yes, I am. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Oh, a pleasure. All right, so kicking it off, in a celebration of such an icon, what can we look forward to this year? What can the streets, do to participate in such a, iconic celebration?
Well, on Thursday, two important things is happening. One is the Ministry of Culture, Gender and Entertainment, which is something she always does. She is having a ceremony at Hero Circle where Miss Lou is interned. And so there will be a celebration there, but it's kind of semi-private celebration, but certainly people in the public are free afterwards to go and pay their homage and respect to Miss Lou in Hero Circle. And then at Excelsior Community College, Miss Lou went to Excelsior at 11 o'clock. We're having a celebration for her there too, with poetry and songs by Amina and Ruth Ford and Kenny Salmon and other people who will be just a very short celebration who will be speaking about her and her importance and relevance still at this time. So that is happening tomorrow at 11. And I think people all over, I know I did a couple of presentations for schools. I couldn't be there in person, so I sent video reels. So I know that a lot of schools are celebrating Miss Lou, sharing information about her, having children write poems and things in the Louise Bennett language,
Nice.
I call it, and other things like that. And then coming up in December will be a festival. We started the first festival last year and we had it up in Gordon Town. And this year we're going to have it somewhere else. But it will be a big festival for Miss Lou and people like Lillian Allen, who is a Jamaican dub poet, who is now the Poet Laureate of Toronto. She'll be there and many others. So that's something to look forward for, and we'll be sharing more information about that. But what I want to really say is that, I love what you said about Miss Lou's voice being soothing and inviting. And a lot of things that I think people of your generation and a little younger might not know is that, now we speak, everybody chat Jamaican, right? Or we chat patois. I call it the nation language. If it wasn't for Miss Lou's persistent determination to write in that language and to celebrate that language. Because when I was in school, we couldn't speak Jamaican language at school. We would get a detention. Okay? And on the radio and in many places, you wouldn't hear the Jamaican nation language was being spoken. And one of the things Muta Baraka says, which I think is so important, that if it wasn't for Miss Lou, we wouldn't have dub poetry and reggae poetry because, Muta recorded Miss Lou with her Dutty Tough. And that is really the first precursor to dub poetry, right? So Miss Lou was very fundamental in many ways.
Yeah.
Also, pantomime was British. Miss Lou came and localized it. She made it Jamaican. She come up with, one of her most popular one was Brer Nancy, right? So Miss Lou's contribution, she's an important cultural icon, but I don't think people know the depth and the breadth of all Miss Lou did.
That is true, and something that needs more attention, and you're doing a fantastic job in bringing it to the fore. We're still having challenges celebrating our language. This is a time for introspection and for reflection and charting the way forward. Apart from these activities, is there anything else any other type of advocacy that you'd like to see in us celebrating our nation language?
Yes, I think it's way time that we disband this thing about Jamaican is bad talk. Miss Lou did that 50 years ago. She wrote a poem about that. And I think there's a few selected people who don't understand that language is about communicating and Jamaican language suite and communicate. And I think there are people who even don't know there are two universities that people did for their second language, Jamaican language, right? People don't come to Jamaica to hear us speak the Queen or the King English, but nobody's interested in that.
True.
Jamaican language is about our culture. It is, listen, Miss Lou talk about bunununos. Who else you can say bunununos?
Somebody who's sweet to you, who not intimate, but are you bonononos? You understand? I'm a bonononos. Yes. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So there's so many words in the Jamaican. There's so many ways we phrase things. You know, Jamaican talk about headboard and head foot and head back. Nobody else don't say that. So we need to appreciate who we are, and particularly now, you know, one of the things I advocate, I did a piece that I think came out in today's Glean, and one of the things I advocate is that I want to see some of our young people, some of you young people, begin to turn some of these riddles and nursery rhymes into games that our children can listen to, so that they're fixated on games that are primarily being programmed in Japan or Asia, which don't necessarily have our values. We need to sell our culture. And our riddles, our Nancy stories, and all of these things are culture where young people with the technology can create these kinds of devices so that other people are playing our games, our stories, because them love Jamaica enough.
Wow. Now, Prof, there's an observation I had a very long time ago. I was in my community, right, and I heard a lot of kids running up and down, and I was just listening, and they were speaking, and I was just like, I was saying to my brethren, them say, oh, hold on, them sound like TV, like them sound like the cartoon them I watch, them sound like the Disney Channel them, all right? And then my brethren looked at me and said, Prof, no, them sound intelligent. I say, whoa, you get me? I said, like, for me, that was like,
meaning that we don't sound intelligent.
Yeah,
when we talk our talk.
Yeah,
and that is something. You know, it's part of a colonial mentality.
That's right. That's what I was getting to.
Everything foreign is good, right? And everything about us is not. And which is why we need to now make cartoons with Jamaican characters, with Jamaican speech, you know, that has Jamaican idioms and Jamaican proverbs, so that we're not saying when somebody speak Jamaican, why them not no intelligence, no,
vulgar. Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
But in that is tremendous intelligence and tremendous wisdom in our culture, and which is why Miss Lou studied folklore. She went to every parish and she studied the songs, she studied the dances, she studied what people were saying, and we need to return to that. If we talk about Proud Jamaica, it's not just about our athletes and our singers, it's about the root of our culture, which is the language. In every culture, it is the language that defines the cultural ethos of a people, and in our language, in fluid Jamaican language, it is all there.
Lovely.
And that is something. No, we could have this conversation all day, but this is there an exercise in academia that will help to filter this into the schools in a formal way? Because as simple as we make things sound, it is because we've incorporated so many other dialects into our language that it might not be so easy to study, because Miss Lou set the foundation and she tell us where dirty come from. You understand from a Twi language and all of this. But are we really bringing it to that level? You speak to the young people. Would it be something that you would want to implore the Ministry of Education to look into? Teaching patois, teaching our national language in school, because Sefe, that is something French, right? And we use it, but we don't know where it come from, and we just say fair, and we're not understanding. But our language, to me, when it look at it on an academic level, it's kind of complicated. And so you really have...
It's very complicated, and I just want to say that there are many people who are pursuing this. So, for instance, the language unit at UWI, in fact, Joseph, I just saw something on Instagram, has now put out a dictionary of Jamaican language.
Wow.
First of all, most languages are borrowed language. English language is borrowed from many other languages, like most other languages. So that Jamaican language, its base is Twi from Ghana, because most of us came from Ghana. But we mix in the French and we mix in the Spanish. This is what language is. Evolves, right? Yes, I think, and many people have been advocating, Professor Devonish, Professor Caroline Cooper, and many others have been advocating that we need to teach Jamaican language, because most people don't know how to spell it or read it, right? Now we have a dictionary, and what a dictionary does is to formalize a language.
Yes.
Right? It gives you all of the rules and all of those. So it's there. And in fact, many children now speak Jamaican language and they don't speak English. So we need to be bilingual or trilingual. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So yes, I would implore the Minister of Education to implement teaching Jamaican nation language. And there are many avenues and units that are ready for this to happen, and we should fully embrace our language. Jamaican national language should be, I don't call it patois, Jamaican nation
Nation
language,
language.
and English, right? Jamaican language and English. South Africa has 8 national languages. Other countries have more than one. So why can't we join the progressive places and have at least 2 national languages and teach it in the school so people can read it, so people can understand its complexity, its intricacies, its double entendres, its full range. All of that is in our language. Our language is very rich and very sweet.
That is it, Prof. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for that. As it relates to the, keeping up with the celebrations and honoring of Miss Lou, can you share with the Bridge Nation any social media pages we can follow just to, remain up to date?
Yes, and I should know those angles. Well, there's a lot of the Louis Bennett Coverley Festival. So we are on Instagram and we're on Facebook, and there are lots of Louis Bennett pages, and everyone is putting up information and things that they're doing for her.
So recap for us the activities and where they'll be staged.
Okay, so one of the formal activities that is being done by the Minister of Gender, Cultural, Entertainment and Sport is tomorrow to go and to pay homage to Miss Lou in National Hero Circle where she's interned, right? So that's one of the first things that's going to be happening. And then at 11 o'clock, the Louis Bennett Coverley Festival, in collaboration with the Excelsior Community College, Miss Lou's alma mater, will be having a birthday celebration for her there at 11. Just a short 1-hour celebration. There are various schools that are having celebration for her, having children write poems, recite her poems and things like that, all throughout Jamaica, as well as Canada and
Yes,
Florida,
of course.
who have been having festivals for Miss Lou for a very long time. The Louis Bennett Coverley Festival Committee is seeking sponsorship so that we can host our festival in December. We have a number of people, as I said, Lillian Allen, Malachi Smith, Donna Ware Soley, other people, Meritones, who are committed to having this festival, and we need sponsorship. So that's going to be in December, and we'll be sharing more on social media. And so, we just say, big up Miss Lou and support us to big up Miss Lou, because she is our definite hero and should be made a national hero.
Certainly.
I agree.
It was an absolute pleasure speaking to you, Professor Adisa. Looking forward to lending my support to the cause and enjoying the celebrations.
Peace, blessings.
Enough love, Prof.
Happy birthday, Miss Lou.
Happy Earth Strong, Miss Lou. Love that. Yeah. Ready, my G?
Yes, I.
Well, tomorrow is Miss Lou's Earth Strong.
The remembrance, yeah.
Love that, man. You know what's so interesting with learning about our culture? It's I don't know if it's changed. No, I don't think so. But for me, JCDC, the Miss Lou type energy, it's primary, and then high school is this big gap. For me, it was there's no there's nothing there was nothing for me unless I joined clubs or some extracurricular probably, but curriculum wise there was nothing until I got to university, and then I walk around campus, and then that's all I knew about the language unit and so on and so forth, and then it kind of feel weird because the last thing I remember was from prep school. There's nothing in high school to kind of keep the vibe going, because especially all boys school, you had a dinky minifor. And then why for me Paul? You get me? So it's we need to fix that. There's a huge gap.
I think it's too seasonal. Yes, it's good that we remember our icons on the anniversary of their birth or the celebration of their life, but it needs to be formal.
I agree.
A program like this needs to be in the institutions consistently. There should be a course, because our language is sophisticated.
Hey, you heard what Prof said. None of these foreigners, tourists don't come here to hear us talk like them.
And I want to say, I learned the sophistication of our language from a foreigner.
See that?
When the man there and study our language and I break down the language, I say, hold on there. I saw the thing deep, and I is a foreigner. I apply academics to our language and I teach it to others. And then you appreciate just how sophisticated it is. And you have a smart for use our language.
That's true. That is true.
When you use our language, when our language takes complex things and simplify them, and if you can understand us, if you can internalize that and use one word for convey a message where other people are take a whole paragraph for do, then you know, say it complicated, it's sophisticated, and it should be celebrated.
It's ours.
And the fact that it is ours, even if it
own.
never all of that,
Yeah,
the fact that our own,
we need to stop.
we need to
Be
celebrate it.
ashamed of it, man.